Marketing gets attention, but operators get paid. Welcome to the Restoration Rundown podcast, built for restoration contractors who want to build serious companies, not just stay busy. My name is Ben Riccardi, the founder of Ironclad Restoration Marketing, and we work exclusively in the restoration industry. And everything we talk about here comes from real companies, real conversation, real data, and real revenue conversations. Now, this show is about leadership, operations, digital marketing, and all the gaps that are quietly costing you money, because busy doesn't equal profitable. And one of the biggest revenue leaks that I see across this industry right now is response time. Marketing can get the phone to ring, but if you don't control the conversation fast, you don't control the job. That's why we partnered with LiveSwitch. LiveSwitch allows homeowners to connect live, show the damage in real time, and help restoration contractors win jobs while that urgency is still high. Now, if you want to pressure test your response time and your close rate, there's a link in the show notes that gets you a one-on-one with their CEO, James Hatfield, to see how LiveSwitch can change the game for your business. Now, let's get into it.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Speaking of LiveSwitch, they've been a guest on the podcast before, and the last time we had James, which I got a caveat to that, he is a CRO, and me being just a dumb contractor guy, I really didn't know the difference until earlier. I had to Google what the difference was. So James Hatfield, the CRO, was a guest on the Restoration Rundown, introducing us to LiveSwitch, which I firmly believe, and my team believes, is a game changer for any home services contractor, especially in the restoration world, which Ironclad Restoration Marketing, my agency, has been really pushing our people to use. And we were talking about that race to the face, why speed and a real human face on video can be a complete game changer for a restoration contractor when it comes to that lead flow coming in. Today, we've got proof. Joining me again today is my buddy James Hatfield, the famous guy from the lead singer of Metallica. Like I joked before, no, that's James Hetfield. This is James Hatfield, even more important, the CRO of LiveSwitch, who was on the show a while back called Race to the Face. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and jump on to anywhere you stream audio or YouTube and check that episode out. And alongside him, he brought his friend, Derek Muelken. I'm probably going to kill that last name here. He'll pronounce it better when he gets on the show. Derek came up through the roofing and restoration operations, project manager, senior project manager, all the way up to VP of national multifamily accounts before founding BreakPoint Consulting, where he now helps contractors break into and scale within multifamily, commercial, and the HOA markets. He's also someone who's seeing LiveSwitch work in real live field conditions. Today, we're not just going to talk about concept, we're talking about proof. So let's get into it. Help me welcome Derek and James to the Restoration Rundown. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. I know you're both very busy guys. I appreciate you guys coming on here today.
I appreciate you having us.
And if you guys are wondering, if you're watching this on YouTube, James is the guy with the gnarly beard. Derek is the guy with the clean-shaven face. Just got out of the gym, as you can tell from the video. And if you're listening to this on audio, you got to check out James's beard. It's sick.
Yeah, I didn't come out of the gym. You didn't talk about my bony body.
Oh, dude, you got a baggy shirt on. It's hard to tell, but I know guys that wear baggier shirts, you can tell they're more yoked. Like I wear a real tight polo here because I like to feel the muscles bulging. But when you got it, you don't need to flaunt it like you.
That's right. But I ain't got it, so it's okay. I got a beard, so we're good. I'm good with that.
That's okay.
With that. And for a jiu-jitsu guy, I always say everyone's the same size on the ground, so we're good.
It's funny. Derek and I were talking about that pre-show. We're talking about jiu-jitsu. I was talking about my son heading to a wrestling camp with some guys from his neck of the woods. He's going to a wrestling camp with some of the University of Minnesota Gophers right now. Heading in there, we talked about jiu-jitsu, and it's 100%. We both kind of had a similar story in the beginning. I know I always touted myself as a guy who can handle himself, and then a friend of mine's been trying to get me to come to his jiu-jitsu gym for like 15 years. I finally stepped in a few years ago and got held on the ground by like a 150-pound little guy. And I just felt like when you pull a bass out of the water or a fish out of the water, just throw them in the dirt and they're just flopping around, nothing they can do about it. So that it either makes or breaks you, I guess. Like that got me completely obsessed. I train 4 or 5 times a week sometimes until I hurt myself. And then it's like 2. But yeah, no, I mean, it's an awesome sport. But today we're not talking about jiu-jitsu. I'd love to have another episode just about it. But I want to talk about LiveSwitch. And I thought today, and the importance of bringing Derek on, Derek, and obviously you're seeing this happening in real time. But before we get into that, I kind of want to walk through your path, looking at your background, checking out your LinkedIn stuff pre-show. I thought it was awesome. I always am drawn to people that climb through the trenches and made it to the tippy top, but then transition from there, and you're now lending that advice and that experience to other guys that are trying to make it to where you were. So I wanted you to walk me through, give me the short and sweet of your background, walk me through the climb that we mentioned before, from PM to senior PM to the VP of multifamily national accounts, and what did you really learn from that journey?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you having me on. My background started with, I was a corporate sales trainer for Verizon, and with restructuring, they didn't need my position anymore. I got a invite. My wife knew the founder of the company that I landed on, said, "Hey, you can do in the restoration side. It's roofing." I'm like, "Well, I hate ladders. I'm petrified of heights, and I don't like roofs, but hey, it sounds like an opportunity." So I took a chance. My first phone call I made was a relationship that I made when I was working at Verizon, and it landed me a $2.2 million project, the first phone call ever in the industry. I mean, I was hooked. And from there, I learned the importance of relationships. So through that, continuing through the trenches, as you mentioned, as just a project manager, just the daily grind, working my way up to a senior level type project manager, working with the team. Back in 21, we partnered with a private equity and grew even more. And kind of that path, we went from about 4 million in top line revenue in 2016 is what the company was doing, to when they sold to PE, just doing shy of 60 million in top line revenue. So huge jump in just a matter of 5 years. And it has contributed to great people understanding the value of relationships. Got promoted to VP of National Accounts, where I was in charge of working those relationships with national partners, growing a team, working with other of the brands throughout the country to help grow and expand that footprint. And through the course of all that, the one consistent thing was relationships. How do you maintain those relationships? Because what that means for a contractor is predictable year-over-year revenue. You're not basing it on a storm. You're not basing it on something that's unpredictable. Those relationships come. You're doing CapEx planning. You're preparing them for what's to come. And that's where kind of BreakPoint came to fruition. Was I want to help contractors, especially with the industry doing a huge shift with insurance and everything else. How do we help contractors create a predictable revenue stream, leveraging relationships, breaking into that commercial multifamily space with asset managers, with property managers, to be that one call, that easy button. Through the course of that is when I got introduced to James, and I didn't know anything about LiveSwitch, but we sat down, and with that first 30-minute demo call that I had, I was 100% hooked. Went to the company I was with, said, "Hey, we need to implement this." They're like, maybe not right now. Well, we parted ways, and I called up James and said, "Hey, I'm a free agent. I need to get your software. We need to do something with this." And immediately just took it and ran with it. It was a rabbit hole for me. I'm like, this thing is endless of what it can do. And I'm going to steal your words, James, because it was race to the face, but now it's really race to the cash. It's just, you're the easy button for them. It's amazing what that can do. And I'll share some stories as we go, but yeah, I just created prompts that literally make it so easy. And literally it is the easy button. You hit the spark button and guess what? You run what you need, and instantaneously you have all the information you need there. So I've been sold out to LiveSwitch and how it can really help contractors. And from my perspective, really help them with the relationship. You're being responsive, you're being transparent, they're being heard, and you're solving a problem for them. So that's been the crux of everything that my business model does, and why LiveSwitch as a tool, a software tool, can help them scale.
Yeah, and I appreciate that background, but I want to take a step back and have James, for anybody, I mentioned pre-show, maybe somebody didn't see the episode with you. Can you give us the elevator speech on LiveSwitch and how it relates to, the restoration contractors out there, the home services guys that might be listening to this podcast?
Yeah, so I am a son of a blue collar guy, born in the house my father built. And I was always good with my hands. My father never threw a football with me, but we were working on engines and we were working on the house. Like no project we weren't gonna bring it to anybody else. We're gonna do it ourselves or burn the house down. We're one of those guys. And we were just frugal, I think. Didn't come from anything. And my grandfather, who built his own house, told me, like, James, when you're out of school, you need to go and start a painting company. That's what you need to do. And you'll never miss a meal. And so that's what I did. I was like, all right, Grandpa, I don't know anything else to do. I'll just do what you tell me to do. So I get out of school and I'm a contractor. I lived my life on a ladder. I thought I would die running my painting company or falling off the ladder working at the painting company. I thought that's how it's going to end, But from there, I ended up getting into technology somehow. It was not on my bingo card ever. I met my business partner. We've been together for 23 years. He's a really smart guy. He was finishing up his Duke University degree the same time Tim Cook was, the guy that runs Apple. And he built this like financial system like 20 years ago that before AI was on anyone's lips. You can't go anywhere now without someone saying AI, but like back then nobody said it. But you could run a financial statement through it and it would tell you in plain language how you were doing. And I was like, dude, you are solving the problem I got, And he's like, well, do you think you can sell it? I'm like, I play with paint guns and water guns, man. I don't even own a computer. Like I got a Nextel walkie-talkie. I use the pink, white, and yellow carbon copy sheets and yellow pages, bro. Like, I don't know, but I believe in what you got. And we took that company from nothing, like a shoebox, to Inc. 500. And now it's a $6 billion company running all the banks in the country. So we did really well, which allowed us to buy a company because we're idiots and we want to start another company. I should just go chase a white golf ball, but I'm a blue collar kid. I don't want to go chase a white golf ball. I want to build crap. You know what I mean? So put me building. So we bought a company 6 years ago, which turned into LiveSwitch here that we're talking about today. And because of my background with the Nextel walkie-talkie, I was able to help invent what Derek and many others are using every single day because we do video. And I was like, oh, we all carry around these smartphones every day with 4 cameras. And I used to use my Nextel every day. Like every day I'm talking to all my crews. And I'm like, this is this generation's Nextel walkie-talkie. And we wrapped the sucker in AI last year. So I always say it's like FaceTime and ChatGPT had a baby, but made it for the trades. It's like buy the trades, for the trades, and everything. So, I met Ben talking about this stuff. I shared about this story, which I just tried to truncate to a brief story here. And, we went out to the trades about 3.5 years ago, and it's been crazy. We're growing like a weed. We're one of the nation's fastest growing softwares right now. It's been extremely humbling. And what will end up happening is people will actually listen to these podcasts and they'll actually reach out. Isn't that crazy? Like they'll listen to us talk and imagine that. And then they actually reach out because it takes a lot of guts to reach out and say, hey, because you hear this stuff and you're like, oh, these guys just want my credit card. No, that's not the case. Ask Derek. Because when I first met him, he could have been a customer, but his company wasn't ready for that kind of change management. And Derek was kind of like, well, I don't know what to do, man. But we stayed in touch and we kept staying in touch until he transitioned to start his own company, BreakPoint, and now he's using LiveSwitch every day. I don't pay Derek to say anything you're going to hear him say today. I pay him zero, like nothing. Yeah. Right. He's just a guy that Ben was like, bring a serious guy that knows what he's talking about and talk to serious people that are listening because pretty much only listening is serious. And let's tell some stories. So it's been humbling. And Derek is going to tell you guys a bunch of stories, which is why Ben was like, bring somebody. I was like, I got the guy. I got the guy that got the stories, and he's a credible guy. So here I am today with you guys. I'm grateful to be back for round 2 and always happy to come back for any more rounds you want of the fight here, so to speak. You got to be thinking jiu-jitsu still, so keep going.
That's all right. We can get into the jiu-jitsu. We're just 3 jacked guys talking about sports and construction, dude. It's great. It's what I love to do. I do, take a step back to James, what you said, like, people that know me, know Ironclad Restoration Marketing, my digital marketing agency, know the Restoration Rundown. Like we're not a paid gun by any means. I don't bring people on. I don't promote anything that I don't personally think is going to be a game changer. Because the selfish thing about it is I think that if our customers, our clients in the marketing side were using tools like this, it would make us look so much better. So the reason you're here, the reason I bring, we talk about LiveSwitch all the time. It's in my bumper of this show. I didn't have any obligation to do that. I did it because I'm trying to get people. I'm the kind of guy, and my friends that might ever happen upon this to make fun of me or listen to me here and there, they know me. When I get into something, whether it's Jesus or it's jujitsu or it's my kids, I can't stop talking about it. I want everybody to join in on something that's good. So the reason that we're doing this, everybody listening to this right now, this isn't some sort of paid advertisement or anything like that. What we want to do today is show you with Derek exactly how LiveSwitch will be a game changer for you, because I get it. We've had a few customers we've talked to this about, and they're adverse to change. This is a big step for somebody to take, is implementing something like this. And I don't even fully get how. I have a construction company as well, and we're going to be sitting down with James and talking about how we can implement this, because we're understanding that things are moving by us so fast, and you're either going to adapt or you're going to die. So it's really important to have conversations like this with guys that are really doing it, like Derek, and guys that have put it together and from the inception. So I implore everybody listening to this right now, just really listen to this with an open mind and think about how this can change you. So speaking of change, Derek, I want to talk to you a little bit about, it's kind of a two-part question. And talking about the first time you actually got to implement LiveSwitch, right? You're hired, you were working for somebody, they were adverse to that change, go off on your own, free agent. Now you're starting to work with LiveSwitch. I want you to talk to me specifically about that first time when you really implemented it, but more so what you saw change operationally for you when you do that, whether it's part of intake or your estimation process.
Well, great question. And the biggest part for me is, as a consulting, not having a lot of capital. I had a buddy that had a construction company, and he trusted me a lot. So I said, hey, in order for me to actually use LiveSwitch, I needed to get him to sign up for LiveSwitch. So that's exactly the first step that I did. I said, don't ask questions. You just need to trust this. Just sign up. And that's exactly what he did. From there, I needed to try it out. So I started playing around with some of the prompts, but I went to a client. I said, hey, do you got any kind of projects you got upcoming? Just something I need to see. And they're like, well, I got this HVAC that's on a 2-story roof that the residents don't want to get these units because they oversee this ugly HVAC unit that's on a roof and they don't like it. So can you just put together a summary of what we can do to cover this up? Okay, well, that sounds pretty simple. Went out there, follow James' instructions. All you got to do is create the project, hit record, walk through, and just talk normal. Nothing special. You don't need to use specific language, but you just go and talk. This is what the client is looking for. This is what we're dealing with. This is what I'm seeing. And then run the prompt. And I sat down afterwards, and within 10 minutes, I had a full 2-scope work order summary of the project, what it's going to entail, material options, and a price based on my buddy's labor pricing, what they have preset. And I said, here you go. They're like, that was fast. I'm like, that's exactly it. That's how fast this is. And that was what sold me. It's just, that's how simple it was. Didn't take anything special. It was just going there, being present. And within 10 minutes, I had what the client was looking for, and they couldn't ask for anything simpler. So that's really, I think that knocks out your questions, but that's really what sold it for me, was that one and how quickly that was able to put it together.
Yeah, no, that was great. I mean, that's kind of the name of the game here. And taking a step back to like the specifically multifamily HOA work, honestly, that always is going to be, there's a lot more stakeholders involved. Whether it's a property manager, the board, owners. Talk to me a little bit about how that video is changing the trust building when you're not just dealing with a single homeowner, because a lot of our guys, they're dealing with the residential property damage restoration or their roofing, but there's a lot of people right now, especially with the way the laws are changing and the TPA stuff is going, they're going after this commercial work pretty hard. And from a digital marketing perspective, that whole world has changed. It's the relationships are going out the window and these people are searching online. So talk to me a little bit about that video changing that trust building sequence with these, when you're dealing with these boards or these HOAs.
Well, a prime example I shared with James was a VP of maintenance gave me a call, or actually shot me a text with 4 pictures from the ground. Just said, there's some shingles on the roof. I need a proposal. Okay, well, I can't do a proposal based on 4 pictures from the ground of shingles. Yeah. So I went out there, took pictures of the roof, put it into the prompt that I had created, and created a work order summary. The interesting thing about that work order summary is their preferred contractor gave them a proposal for $800, said, hey, we're going to walk the roof, make repairs, and was very generic.
Yeah.
I went in there and using the software, it produced an estimate of $2,800. Okay. But within that summary, I had full transparency of what was identified, what the potential issues is, the sense of urgency within that issue, a price breakdown of material, labor, everything sorted out, full transparent. That owner of that property, so it wasn't the third-party manager of that property, it was the owner looked at it and said, we're going with that $2,800 bid.
Yeah.
Because they knew exactly what they were getting. There's no hidden fees. It's full transparent. And that is what I think a lot of people overlook, is that I'm not looking to beat a price. I'm giving you transparency. You know exactly what you're getting, and that's what I'm going to execute. So I went with there. And as I was telling James a few days ago, you know, a couple work orders like that pays for the software, and you get an instant return on that investment. It doesn't take long if you actually implement it into your business, and people pick up on that. They love how it's transparent and they know exactly what they're getting. No questions.
Yeah, and listen, if the light bulb hasn't already come on for you commercial guys that are dealing with property managers, like think about the trust that builds. You know, look, you got $2,000 above invoice to the other estimate, but here's what I'll relate it to. So in my site development company, we see it a lot in the paving world. Where, you know, a homeowners association will get a quote for paving and it's $160,000. You know, and you're looking at the square yardage of the asphalt and the lime rock repairs and all the little nuances in there. And then they've got a couple little notes in the bottom that says this doesn't cover any overages. And we all know in the paving world that old asphalt is very hard to mill, meaning grinding it up and paving. If it's very old and compromise the structural integrity of it, it's going to come out in chunks and you're going to be hit with these overages that are going to blow that $150,000 invoice or estimate up to $300,000 very easily. And these HOAs are working sometimes on a smaller budget, especially down here in Florida. We've got a lot of 55 and over communities and they just don't know that. So one of the things we've done, and I'm trying to relate my site company because I'm like, man, this could work for these paving scopes as well. We can really show them these estimates, but we do that already. But the time that it takes us to put that estimate together is huge because we've got to go do a site visit. We've got to check the asphalt depths in each of these areas. We've got to look at the integrity of the structural. These companies aren't doing that. They're getting a square footage, they're throwing a number at it, and then they're killing them on overages. So I definitely think something like that for us, it's something I'm thinking already, how we can get it out there. So I do think for the restoration guys that are out there chasing commercial work, you're building a ton of trust because you're gonna lay that out right there in front of them and say, look, there's a chance that it's not just these shingles. There's a chance that there's a lot more to it, or if it's water damage. Odds are, especially down here in Florida, if there's water, there's mold. You know, so you having all that and being transparent goes a long ways with your commercial work that you're trying to get. And I know the guys that are seasoned vets in that world know what I'm talking about, and the guys that are trying to break into it, you got to consider that in everything you do. James, I want to talk to you for a minute also from your side. Derek is using this, you know, one of the examples he gave is this transparency, but I really want to know, I'm bouncing around a little bit. What do you see Derek and other guys in the home services doing with your platform that might even surprise you?
Well, I think it's more surprising them, right? Because now that you've got access to this incredible tool in your pocket, which is this phone, right? It's the most important tool in your tool bag that doesn't get used like it needs to. And I think this is the first iteration where it's really become practical and tactical for contractors. So now you, as Derek was saying, you can walk the property. And here's the difference. Here is the difference. Because people are like, well, AI. I'm like, yeah, it comes with a warning. Like, I built you the Iron Man suit, but I need Tony Stark in it. And it depends on what quality of Tony I'm getting. If I'm getting Tony Jr. or am I getting Tony? Because like Tony Jr., it could be like a 15-year-old can walk around and point at whatever you're going to point at. And the AI is pretty good, right? Because they can work even on just video alone. But when you have an expert walking around like a Derek and talking and feeding that, an LLM, an AI, and any is only as good as what you feed it. Garbage in, garbage out. And so the richness of the video quality, because a lot of times people just submit pictures, but now you're getting an entire video, which is super rich full of data. Then you get an expert like Derek talking. So you want to talk to it and you're feeding all of that into the largest AI in the world. You are getting something very dynamic, right? Which is what Derek's saying. In addition to that, the warning label I'm going to keep slapping up there is Derek doesn't blindly slide that across the table. That is not a good idea, right? But if I can get you to the 20-yard line, You've got to put it in the end zone. So Derek reviews everything. He looks at everything. And I think what surprises people is that if you've been doing this for a while and you're a contractor that knows what you're talking about, then this is only going to make you better, right? Yeah. The contractors that don't know what they're talking about and they just slide it across the table are still going to produce crap work. Yep. You know, that's just what it is. So like AI is not going to turn the wrench. AI is not going to solve world peace. So if any of you guys are thinking, oh gosh, AI is going to kill my job, it won't unless it does better than you. Like if you're a junior, a peewee squad, you know, and I don't know if we want to even share this story, Derek, but at the time of that LiveSwitch kind of outdid somebody and it made more business for you, right? So maybe if you can share that story, I think it'd be pretty appropriate for right now.
Well, I mean, it just goes to the power of accountability as well. And so that same client then saw the power of LiveSwitch. And so they're like, hey, can you go do just exterior maintenance walks? So just walk the properties. And so they had 2 properties specifically that they wanted me to walk. So I just took the video, just like James said. And I want to back up a quick second. As James said, the power of the video is very powerful standalone. And so prior to anything that I'm saying now, I've stress tested this software with doing that same walk, both just video, but then adding the narration to it. So it's still very accurate with the video, but then adding the narration is even more powerful. So I've put it through its paces with everything that it's done. But with that client specifically, they had a VP of maintenance that wasn't doing their job, wasn't accurately reporting back to the owner of that property as to what the condition was and what needs to be done. So I did my report, and literally within 30 minutes of finishing that inspection, I had a report on their desk. Not days later, not weeks. I ran the prompt, gave them a report, and I caveat everything. This is all based on AI visual observation. Here's a field checklist. So you have the field verify from what I picked up on, so they know that it's disclaimer that this is just visual observation. And I got a phone call a week later, and they said, because of your software, we no longer need that position anymore because of how much you've streamlined the process and how responsive you could be. And now you can take this to our portfolios in Florida, our portfolios in Texas, and now we can have access to what's going on at those properties without flying someone down there, without carrying a salary of someone that's not doing their job. Mm-hmm. And I never advocate for anyone losing their job, but what this software is doing is it's holding people accountable. And those contractors are those people in those positions that aren't being responsive, that aren't getting the information, are being replaced by AI and software that can do it and be responsive and give owners the information they need to make decisions, because that is an asset. Those properties are a money-making asset for them. If they're not cared for, they're going to lose money.
Sure.
How can I increase the valuation of that property, increase your NOI on that property? And that's what LiveSwitch does. And it's truly endless what you can do with it. That's just one application. And it's completely changed their business model of how they manage their properties and the maintenance side of it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I want to get more practical, because I know a lot of the guys listening to this, restoration contractor, home services guys, there any other, real world case studies? I'd like you to share some real numbers. I want to see, where the rubber meets the road here. If you wouldn't mind, I want to share some real world, response times, close rates, jobs won, any kind of wins that this has led you to in your experience before we work into the, breaking into the multifamily and commercial stuff.
Okay. Well, I got one right off the bat that just happened on Friday.
Let's go.
And so that same property, we recently had a storm June 19th.
Uh-huh.
I coordinated with it was a property that's owned by Washington County. So it's it's a property, but they manage it. And I said, hey, you might want to have this property looked at. And they're like, well, we've had a lot of contractors calling. I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna go out there to give you an assessment. So I went out there, did an inspection of this property. It's a 196 unit property, and went out there, did my normal this applies for residential or multifamily. You're still doing your job, doing your field verification, getting on the roof, looking for damage. When you're looking for damage, what is consistent with a hail or wind event? You got to draw that differentiation that this is in line with hail damage, it's in line with wind. document everything, do your test squares. Did that, walk the properties, put it all into LiveSwitch, put together a report, and at the end of that report had a good faith estimate for that property. After 30 minutes or after the property submitting it, I got a call from the property that said, yep, Washington County is going to move forward with filing a claim. You're going to be awarded the job. Now that's pending an insurance coverage determination. So that doesn't mean that it's a job, but from an inspection that happened on Friday, we're Tuesday. And that's how quick it works, because I laid out everything, all using the standards of what Hague standards. It's all UPPA compliant, using NOAA weather data, everything that LiveSwitch has the capabilities of doing, and my prompt writing. So like James said, you get out what you put in. So I created a very robust prompt. They had a 15-page report with everything I documented, pre-existing conditions, damage. And with that, I think at the good faith estimate is $1.1 million. So because of my transparent documentation of doing my job and diligence on site, that may lead to a $1.1 million project.
Yeah. Now, one thought that's run by my head, Derek, you've mentioned it a few times, and I think this is a big sticking point when it comes to, implementing AI and adopting these different softwares is, prompts, building it out. These guys that are listening to this, even myself, I'm as my brain's bouncing around like a bunch of squirrels chasing a nut, I'm just thinking about the uphill battle that may exist with guys trying to implement this into their business, guys that have been in business for 25, 30 years, new guys that are breaking into this, and they're getting inundated with AI every day. Like one of you guys mentioned it before. I mean, you can't escape it. I mean, every one of our prospective clients on the marketing side is like, well, what are you doing for AI? What are you doing for AI? And it's like, you got to go down this whole rabbit hole, and it really does seem like a daunting task to get into it. So I want Derek, specifically, James, I'd love for you to chime in on this. From a restoration contractor that's, you're probably just figuring out Gmail maybe, and you're getting the emails doing, but you might be a little tech savvy even at the same time, with all the different estimating tools out there. Talk to me about that process of being able to, onboard a software like this when you're just not speaking the same language. James?
Let me go first.
Go.
Because this happened today.
Oh,
so
good.
I was in front of the entire Blue Kangaroo franchisees today. So big webinar. And I have two of their franchise owners. And Blue Kangaroo, for those that aren't familiar, they do pack outs. It's kind of like a moving company and a restoration company had a baby. Right. And so I had two of our customers talking to their franchisees. So these are franchisees talking to franchisees, and I just let them talk. And one of the ladies I actually had never met, one of the other franchisees was like, just buy this and thank me later. So she bought LiveSwitch on a Saturday, and lo and behold, that weekend, she gets a call from a beach house that's 2 hours away and had some pipes burst, and it was a disaster, right? And so she knew, she was like, man, there's money, but I'm going to have to drive out on Sunday, 2 hours, and do this entire site walk and audit, and then come back around. And she hadn't even been trained by us yet. Okay. She just bought it Saturday. So she's like, well, let me see if I can figure this thing out. And I asked the other owner, well, because we were like, what about training? He's like, we don't even need training. Like did you need training when you use an Nextel walkie-talkie? You just tap the button and talk. Like, you're done. You're trained. Like, it's the same thing with LiveSwitch. So she's like, all right. So she texted the owner of the home, and they walked around and showed her everything and just took the video, and she just used her regular process. She didn't even use our AI after that. So this was straight up. She was like, James, I bought your stuff and it saved me 5 hours and this trip, and I won it. It paid for itself. And the first time I ever used it, and I had never even known what I was doing, I didn't even use the AI. And she told that to all the franchisees. And I was like, I love you in the most HR appropriate way right now. Right. Because she just made it practical. She made it real. And she kind of demystified that this ain't going to be some huge change management piece that you're not going to see value with. She's like, I bought it on Saturday from a guy who I trust that said I had to buy it, and I used it on Sunday, and it paid for itself. Like, that's all I can tell you. And she did it on her own. So now Derek will probably go a step further on the AI route, but I wanted to kind of, for those that are like, oh my gosh, like, as I say, you crawl, walk, run, but what if you're still in the crib? I ain't even crawling yet. How do I get out the crib and do this? And even think about this. I'm like, just start off by considering this the Nextel walkie-talkie, but with video, and just start there. Because now you can get eyes on, if you're a project manager or running multiples, you can use it with people you have in the field, because they can show you what's going on. Use it with when a lead comes in from your marketing company, right? Speed to lead, as we've talked about. So the lead comes in, now you're shooting off the text and you're seeing a video of the damage that's being done. And the other beautiful thing that it does that AI can't do, and it will never do, is say, sorry, you burnt the kitchen down.
Yeah.
Because as a homeowner, when you burn that kitchen down or you find a bunch of mold, you are not calling a restoration company giddy, happy. You're just hoping that insurance will cover the dang thing. And then if that doesn't, how much is it going to be? And then you're pissed off at yourself if you burnt the kitchen down, right? So you're a little embarrassed. So the first thing that person needs more than anything else, and even more, is a human being to say, I'm so sorry that you burned that kitchen down. And we've seen this so many times. We'll get it taken care of. You don't worry. We'll work with your insurance. And that is something AI, sorry, your voice bot does do nothing for me when it says that. It does nothing. So there's still a human element and a human touch that, as Derek goes into AI, that I wanted to caveat that can be done over live video. Like one of my other contractors, like it's kind of like when you're doing, people use FaceTime, right?
Yep.
To like talk to their family and still build that human connection. Yes, there's nothing like being in person. Nothing will change that. But this is the next closest thing. I've never sat across the table from any of you guys. I've never met Derek in person. But we have, I'd say, a pretty dang good relationship now over a year talking, right? And we talked about real stuff and family and not just, doing business. But like there's that element that the video is just that much warmer. And when you're seeing the problem and someone doesn't have to explain, they can just show the burnt down kitchen without having to explain all the things. You as an expert sees it. And now we can get into the AI side of the show with Derek to answer your question. But I wanted to caveat it for people that are trying to get out of the crib and just trying to crawl.
Yeah, and I want to jump in, Derek, before you get into it too, and just talk, concept and what the reality is. We know Ironclad. I fly around and I speak at different restoration conferences, and one of the new things that we're talking about and what Google's looking for is they implement more and more AI. Is this building trust? You got 3 buckets that you need to be doing as a contractor on: clarity, trust, and then controlling those leads as they come in. You need to be showing Google that, we handle this type of loss all the time. It's not a big deal. And you're doing the same thing for these homeowners. You do it through your Google reviews, you do it through your website, you do it through your social media posting. And now you have something out there that you can actually get them on the phone at the time of a loss and ease their mind. Because remember, just like everything we talk about, they're not calling looking for a restaurant to eat at. They're not trying to find a reservation. They're not, price matching flooring. They've got a catastrophic property damage. They're stressed out. And for having an expert come on live, look at their damage and say, listen, I know it seems like a big deal. Sorry it happened. We see this all the time. A team's going to be there in 45 minutes. We're going to get the ball rolling. Here's how you start working on your insurance side. Let's get this moving for you. So just like we're pushing at our marketing company for you to do from a branding perspective and from a positioning in Google's eyes, you're able to do this with the people that matter, the people that are going to make that decision ultimately and push for you to come and get those jobs, whether it's commercial or residential stuff.
Ben, I think you, aside from all how in-depth you can get with AI, you just touched on something that is why the AI is so important is that trust and just that feeling of being heard. Mm-hmm. And I think with this software, especially in the restoration space, people being heard that, hey, we're okay. And that's where it doesn't matter how robust your software is. It doesn't matter. Is on having that human interaction and the fact that you have a software like LiveSwitch that can now blend the two together. So you're not only being responsive, but you have that human aspect, solves everything. And the AI, as complex and scary as it can be, it's made for the trades. It's a tool. Let LiveSwitch work on the whole robust back end, that all fancy stuff. As a contractor, all you need to see is I can speak with the homeowner. I can speak with the client. I can, even if you have a long-term relationship, you can have QR codes that you can now give them. And if they have an issue real time, they scan it, send you what they need. And now you run your prompt. You are solving a problem for them and they're trusting you with that tool. And as now getting into the AI, just play around with it. James mentioned your crawl, walk, run. If you're new to this, the AI is already figured out within what LiveSwitch is doing. Now it's up to you to then just start using it. just with your first prompt, just type something out, just say, hey, just give me a job site summary, or hey, how do I fix this? You're going to see your output. And from there, you fine tune it. You get more robust. I've probably put close to, because I've been playing with it for so long, probably close to 100 hours into my prompts. But that's through trial and error and just running these and just seeing what the outputs are. AI doesn't have to be complex. You just need to start somewhere. And that's just speaking normal to it. Just say, give me a summary. What are you seeing here? What do I need to do? And from there, you're going to start getting that confidence to then get more robust, to get your long prompts, to have everything. That's the beauty of LiveSwitch, is it's for every person, no matter where you are, competency with AI, the software is there. Just play with it and use it.
Yeah. And the one interesting thing when people are like, I don't have 100 hours to put into a prompt there, Derek, appreciate you. Well, what we did is we noticed that there are guys that will put 100 hours like Derek into it and use it for his business, that it's putting food on the table. And he's kind enough. We're like, would you be willing to share this with the community? So Derek has published his prompts in our community prompts section. And now all you have to do is go add them. So now you're just going to hit the record button, talk, and then hit the button that runs Derek's prompt. So he's done the work for you there, and he's willing to share with his industry because he cares more than just about himself. And he put that out there. So we're trying to find ways for the guys that are like, wait a second, I can't put 100 hours in AI, Derek. Yeah, but we have other ways to help with that. And thanks to people like Derek who have donated, so to speak, their what they've built. So thank you, Derek.
Well, our industry is not about being self-serving. Our industry, that's why, Ben, you have this podcast. You want to help other people. And that's ultimately what all three of us on this call want everyone that's listening to understand, is our job as a contractor, especially on the restoration side, is how do we help the end user and how do we make it easier for them? And this all lends itself to, you are that easy button for them. You are that person that they now can rely on. And it's quite the special thing when you can have that trust in just your average homeowner, that they know exactly who you are and what they're getting.
Yeah, I appreciate that answer, guys. And I want to touch on one last thing before we kind of package everything up and wrap this up for the day. One of the big issues that, most home services guys, especially guys who are dealing with insurance stuff, is scope, approvals, sign off, getting paid. Derek, James, talk to me a little bit about how you're seeing that change the game as far as getting these approvals going when you are dealing with like commercial work and dealing with these insurance companies that want to just deny, every little thing and challenge your scope. I think it's very obvious what video is going to do for that, and I think you can't hide from it. But there are any little things that we might be missing here that might help, push this in that direction to kind of help with those guys that are struggling with those types of things when it comes to documentation?
Well, here's the thing: you might not get a choice. Why? Because we're talking to very large insurance companies. I've already had insurance companies purchase LiveSwitch for their personal use for this thing. So they might require you just to take not just you, but the person they're insuring. So they'll have it from the actual, person, and then they'll also have it from you. So if they have it from you and from them, you're making their claim easier, right? So, and it's all documented right from a lot of cases, the customer's own phone. Right. And then, but guided by the expert. And then if they don't trust the customer, now they trust the expert, then the expert goes in there and trues everything up. So the world may just force it on you. I hate to say it, but we watched just in the last year, Google, even in your Google business profile, like when a customer goes restoration near me, they're now having the option of, do they do virtual estimating? Because people are so much appreciating the convenience of this that now even the customer will require you to use it. So whether your customer requires you to use it, or you don't get to come to the house, or the insurance company gets you to use it, I mean, I guess sorry, not sorry, but it'll make your life where you're not driving like that. I was saying, that lady at 2 hours, we're saving you windshield time, and so you can get paid.
And why not? The last thing I want when I've accidentally burned my kitchen down is a bunch of people coming around my house and trying to snake in and sell me something and come in, and you don't know what to trust. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you haven't slept. And, in like my case, I've got a 3-month-old at home now. And it's like, dude, I don't want to hear it. I just, Yeah, what can you do? Here's a picture of the stuff. Here's a video. Walk me through it. Send me a quote. Let's see if my insurance will cover it. So that's pretty interesting. And again, guys, if you're a customer or a client of Ironclad Restoration Market, you're not implementing LiveSwitch, think about that. We're managing your Google business profile. And if you can have that, you're a differentiator. That's a differentiating factor. You can offer virtual estimating, virtual walkthroughs. They're adding that in there. Geez, that's a
It's
new
already
one.
live. It's already there.
I heard some things about it a few months ago being in beta, but that's killer. I mean, that's a huge differentiator right there. So obviously the documentation right there, you already know, we had an episode a while ago about AI. I always likened it to like the Terminator 2 Judgment Day kind of thing, but it's no BS. These insurance companies, whatever you think you're investing into AI and software, and I don't care what company you are, the insurance companies are investing way more. And as our last episode I had with my buddy Doug Weatherman, it's scary what they're going to be up against. So if you're a contractor and you're letting this stuff fly by, if the easy button, like Derek said, and the documentation and just getting the estimates out faster, improving your processes and scopes aren't enough to push you over the edge, like you're going to get lost because you're going to be fighting a losing battle, and you're going to give the insurance companies all of the power where you already kind of do. They're already having their AI models argue estimates. You're not getting anybody on the phone. You're dealing with an adjuster. You're getting an AI adjuster anyways right now. So don't let this stuff fly by. Guys, I want to kind of talk one more thing here. Couple more things for anybody that's listening right now, and I kind of talked about they're a little bit skeptical about this, adding this video into their processes. Derek, what would you tell these guys?
Just do it. You can't. AI is here, and it's not like the internet in the 2000s where you have time to adopt it. It's either it is here and now, and you implement it and find a way how it fits your systems and your process within your company. Every company is structured, but there is a way that LiveSwitch fits into that system and that process because it is client facing.
Yeah.
So there is no better time than now. Even now, it's a little late adoption, but you're still early enough to where you can be ahead of the game and ahead of your competitors. Because as I want to I know you're trying to bun this up.
No, we've got all the time in the world, buddy. You take as long as you want.
When we were talking about, insurance scope and stuff like that, I told you a story about the inspection I had on Friday.
Yeah.
With the storm damage, I'm doing my normal process as a contractor, looking for what is consistent with hail damage. I'm documenting it all. But now with my prompt and what you're able to do, that prompt or that damage that you're capturing is now cross-referenced against Hague, Rakawi, all made via your Vinyl Side Institute, ARMA, all these organizations that are the go-to of what is functional damage. And what I'm capturing now, that report is putting it into using their language as to what is functional, what is collaborative evidence, just saying, yep, something happened here. It's a dent in a 750 vent. Doesn't mean it's functional damage per their standards, but it paints the story. Spatter marks, all that.
Yeah.
NOAA weather data, FEMA. I'm cross-referencing all this into one report, so I don't have to spend hours of research and digging into one click of the button. I'm cross-referencing everything, not doing manufacturer specifications, not doing code. As a contractor, my job is to identify what I deem matches up with a date of loss as to what is damage. That report does that for me in a quick, easy, and at the bottom, because these cameras capture everything, I'm able to get a full picture of what the property is, and it puts a nice good faith estimate in there of to what the scope would be. So the insurance company says, okay, this might be what it is. But now you're able to equip a homeowner with that and say, now work with your agent or work with whoever it is to figure out your coverage and your policy, because I can't speak to that, and what makes sense for you. So you want to increase your close rate, do the job the right way, document everything on the front end, and your close rate is going to be so much stronger, and insurance companies are going to see, yep, you've done your homework because I'm using their language to identify this. And that's the power of AI. So back to your question, there's no better time than now. Just you need to adopt it.
Yeah. Derek is on the Contractors Association of Minnesota board, and they are going to be putting together an entire 2-day summit for all of their members, teaching them how to do this type of work, and how to approach this. So it's going to be coming from your associations. It's coming so it is one more thing, and maybe you're close to retirement and you can dodge it. But if you're not, yeah, it's just what it is. I mean, sometimes the stuff gets forced upon us. Sometimes we invent a vehicle or invent an airplane and we stop, riding horses and,
But the best part is, even if you get on a property, Ben, with your clients, and they're trying to figure out how they can do better, some of the best news we can give a homeowner is that your home is okay.
Yeah.
And so I've even created a prompt that just a condition report saying, yep, you got a clean stamp of health. Here's what you should plan for, because it's not the insurance company's responsibility to replace your roof.
Yep.
But here's a good faith estimate for you to mentally prepare for when it comes time for your roof. But now who are they going to call when it comes that time? Because you took the time to give them something.
Yep.
So, here you go. You've had your property inspected. There is nothing going on. Here's a good number for you. And now you're giving them peace of mind.
Yep.
There's no greater thing we can give as a contractor to do that. And I think that's going back to the human side of it. We're just trying to be good people and educating.
Yeah, no. And listen, all of that makes complete sense, for the dummies like me that are just trying to figure out how to hammer in a nail with an iPhone. And it sounds like this is something that's going to be really easy to implement. And if you're not any contractor, any home service guy out there, you really need to think hard about where you're at, what your strategy is for growth. And speaking of which, Derek, BreakPoint Consulting, if anybody wants help with their own growth strategy, breaking into multifamily HOA stuff, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, if you go to the website, there's an easy way. You can just click a link, set up a demo call with me. Otherwise, and my contact information is on there. So you can easily reach out, and I'd be happy to have a call and just see where you guys are at. Maybe I'm a fit for you right now, or maybe I'm not a fit for where your business is at right now. But ultimately, if I can shed some light and maybe even answer some questions about LiveSwitch, that's ultimately what it's about. And talking about monetizing, I've told James, I'm not getting paid for any of this through LiveSwitch, but I'm like, you can give me some shares, because where this is going is going to be huge. That's my retirement plan. So let's plan for that.
Yeah, if you got an extra quarter share laying around, James, just throw it my way too. And I just a poor guy folding my hat in my hand here, just humbly begging for.
Y'all just stay close to me. I remember who my friends are. I remember who my friends are. I'm not greedy.
Hey, James, speaking of what, Derek, and for guys that are listening to this on Spotify or Apple or Google or any of the other audio, I have the BreakPoint Consult website URL taken across the bottom of this video. You can check it out on YouTube or LinkedIn. And also it'll be in the show notes. James, anything new coming from LiveSwitch you want people to know about?
I've given you enough. But
okay,
stay
don't tell
tuned.
me. But if you,
yeah,
I think
I got
James
more.
has been.
I got more. Every week
you got more? It's coming, huh?
I'm just getting warmed up, gentlemen.
Well, good. We got plenty. I need
I
need to fill some slots, so we got to get you back on here and we'll talk about them as you launch them out there. But speaking of which, guys, one of the things you probably heard me talking about, I talked about it in the show, the opener of the show, making a ton of social media videos about it. It's storm season. We're in South Florida here. What better way to get in front of your people when they're dealing with storm damage than to use a software like LiveSwitch? And in the show notes, you're going to get a URL that'll get you face to face with James. I know you can't get enough of that beard. So if you want to get some more time on that beard before his wife makes him cut it off, you're going to need to get a hold and click that link. Schedule. It's 30 minutes. There's no obligation. It's literally James will walk you through, like I'm about to do with him with my site development company. He's going to walk you through exactly how LiveSwitch will fit into your business, no matter where you're at in your business. If you're a restoration contractor, awesome. I want to see all of my people out there utilizing stuff like LiveSwitch just to improve ops, improve the way you get paid, improve your job closing rates, and everything else, documentation, everything else we've talked about today and in the last episode. Make sure you click that link and check them out. If you want to learn more, everybody knows how to get a hold of me. I'm all over the place on the internet. Hit me up on LinkedIn, get a hold of us via the website at ironcladrestorationmarketing.com, and we'll get you squared away, whether you're needing help with marketing or you need help racing to the face for your potential customers.
I got something that make your contractors and for anyone who signs a LiveSwitch a little bit easier. Because I spent the 100 hours working on all these prompts, I have about 45 prompts already pre-built. So your contractors that are scared of it, not only do I do business consulting, but I also have the prompts. LiveSwitch is a software and I have the prompts. It's a plug and go. I can customize it for your company. So if you're a restoration company doing something right now, we can easily customize it and get you up and running very fast. So I do have that, and I have them already pre-built, make them really easy for your contractors just to plug and go and just hit the ground running.
Hey guys, you literally at this point have zero excuses to even just give it a shot. Give it a shot. I'm like just feeling bad this whole entire episode that James has been so gracious with giving me, a license to kind of implement this into my site company. And the entire episode, I've been just thinking, man, I could have used it this time. I could have used it for this estimate. I could have used it for this time. So don't waste any more time. It's only going to get more and more robust, and everybody stacking up the AI and all the softwares are moving at a breakneck pace. I can't wait to see what LiveSwitch is coming out with next, guys. I appreciate your time, James. Derek, I appreciate you guys. This is exactly the kind of episode that matters the most to me, if you guys know me out there, because it's not just a pitch at all. It might sound like that in some regards, but I think we're just super excited about what this thing can do and how it can change people's lives. It is really proof from someone like Derek that's actually doing the work. So if you want to see what LiveSwitch can do for your business, I mentioned that before. The link is in the show notes. You'll be supporting the show if you go and check that out, because the more people I send to go talk to James one day when he wants to break me off like a 100th share of LiveSwitch, I got kids I got to put through school and everything like that. So, but if you're looking to grow into the multifamily, commercial, HOA work, go check out Derek at BreakPoint Consulting. He's already made an offer to just spend 300 hours with each one of you individually at no cost to him or you. No, I'm joking. Check out his website, BreakPoint Consulting. That's it today. That's it for today, guys, on the rundown. I will see you guys very soon. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. That is it for today. Stay tuned. We got a ton of great episodes coming up on the Restoration Rundown. Till next time, we'll see you then.
If today's episode helped you, then subscribe and send it to another contractor who needs to hear it. And if your digital marketing isn't producing at the level it should, then let's fix it. At Ironclad Restoration Marketing, we build and manage restoration-specific websites, SEO strategies, Google Ads and LSA campaigns, and Google business profiles, all engineered to drive book jobs, not just vanity metrics. Schedule a strategy session in the show notes, and let's tighten up your growth plan. We'll see you on the next episode.